Hey everybody, today we find ourselves in the grassy fields where all of our Phase 5 space elevator parts will be produced. That is, if we have all the required factories along with the supporting infrastructure. We need to expand our logistics to meet the requirements for these future factories. So, what does that need? All of these, but we can be focusing only on this 420 crude oil today. Alright, let's head over to the factory that's going to require the majority of this crude oil. And we're going to take this little hub tool. Right, so here we are. This is the factory that's going to require the majority of the crude oil. And as you can see behind me, we've already got a train station set up to receive the crude oil. But now we need to actually extend our infrastructure to get to the point where we can extract the required crude oil. In the following video, you'll be able to see exactly what this factory will turn into. But I'm going to give you guys a step-by-step guide as to how to construct, decorate, and then finally apply the resources needed for this factory to do what it's supposed to do. But more on that later. So, the question is, where are we going to find some crude oil? There is the Gold Coast oil nodes, but as you can see, they've already been tapped to feed my rubber and plastic factory there in the background. We've got the Gold Coast oil wells, but that's already been tapped for my rocket fuel production, so that's not an option. We've got the Pink Forest oil node. No, that's way too far. Wait a minute, I know the location of very super secret oil nodes that is totally hidden away. The entire community is sleeping on these bad boys. Yeah, let's go check them out. The Blue Crater, and it's located... Oh. You guys know about this one? Yeah. Moving on. So how do we get the oil from the Blue Crater to here? While I really like the new fluid trucks, building an entire highway all the way out to the Blue Crater might be a little bit too much to ask. Since we're getting some of the oil, we might as well set up infrastructure to get all of the oil. And that only really leaves us with one choice. Drones. Lots of drones. No, that's stupid. Wait, maybe? Nah. Trucks are not gonna work. Let's just stick with...
Choo-choo mother...
Now, all we need to do is expand this railway all the way to the Blue Crater. Let's do it. Right, so we need to get over there, and I'm thinking kind of going this way, then across this span, and then up to there, and then possibly take a ride down into the valley. But the first thing we want to do is we want to get to that point there. So we're going to use this blueprint, which is part of my Patreon blueprints. So all the Patreon supporters, you guys can do exactly what I'm doing right now. Okay, there we go. Quick and easy little train station. Let's take a ride back and see what it's like. Obviously, I still need to do all the supports and get the oil out there, but it's looking pretty good. Okay, I think we're good. Nice. Right, so for this bridge I want to do like a massive arch going from that point all the way over up to that height, and then down again, a nice elegant kind of arch or curve. So the way that I try to figure out what the exact center point is of the bridge is you just take these guys and you just run about 40 meters, and once you get to that point you just add another 40 meters until you get to the other side. Then if you count them together, there was 5 of these, which is going to give you 200, and then a half a section just to fill up the last bit, so it's 220 for the bridge. To get the center point, it's obviously 220 divided by 2, and then you sit with 110 meters, which is right here. Now from here, I just kind of like thumb sucked it and checked the height, and I saw I was going to do, so let's say we do 30 meters, so 28 meters, so let's stick with 28 meters. Now the thing that we need to do is we need to curve down this way, but we don't need to go all the way. We need to go to about there, and then from there it's going to go straight down into the ground over there. So the first thing we need to do is just get a little bit of a curve going. So I'm going to use the pillow method for this curve, and the way that it works is you grab this guy. See, if you go all the way up it's 28 meters, but what we want to do is we want to go to the edge there, and you can see it's 27.04, so it's not precise. Let's just check something else here quickly. So I'm going to work off this one, and this should be okay. So it seems like it's 27 meters, not 28, so there's a little bit sticking into it. So this bridge's height is going to be 27 meters from the top of the rail. So it doesn't really matter what the height is, just as long as you keep it consistent. So the thing that we do now is we need to place this one up here, but because there's a slight difference in the length because of that distance, because you're turning to the right, it's going to be a slightly less or slightly more, in this case slightly more to get to the edge. You can't just place it there because you can start getting inconsistencies. So what you do need to do is you need to go actually from the bottom, then page up to get to wherever the closest point is where it matches. So let's continue with this method, and we'll show you another thing just to speed this up a little bit. So just make sure your placement is correct all the time. I'm just going to step back so I can see the entirety of it. So you go to the bottom and press H to lock it in, and as soon as you start paging up and you can see it's moving, just press one of the directional keys and you'll see it will start going much faster. And that's a very easy way just to kind of speed this process up a little bit. And it's going to save you a fair amount of time. So I'm holding page up and I'm just pressing like left arrow, for instance, until we get to the top, and there we go. So with this one we don't need to go all the way, we don't need to make a full circle, we just want to do a curve on top, but we want a nice smooth curve. The way to check to see if the curve is good, so let's say we think this one's good, and from here you're just gonna go out like that to see. You can see now it's gonna overreach. I think I'm gonna go a little bit. We can maybe go into that point there. So again, you start from the bottom always, and you go up to the edge. Never start from the top because it might be slightly off, like a very small amount, but it's gonna add up over time, and your curve's not gonna look as smooth as you'd like it to be. So let's see how this curve will do. This one could actually work. This one's going to go down up to there, and then into that point. So that's effectively our curve. But you can see it's not going to be a very big curve. So I think we might have to change things around a little bit. So we're going to do the same thing, but we're going to do it on a bigger scale. So it's going to be about 50 meters, and then the arch should be kind of good. Now, but you see the problem now is that you can't reach it, but that actually doesn't matter too much, because if you go to free mode and you aim at the edge, you'll see it will still go to the edge. So if I just extend this a little bit there, that's perfectly fine, but you don't even need that section. What we need though is, let's get rid of this, grab this guy, put him at the bottom. Let's use our little trick. There we go. So we just need that that beam, or the beam here is just to guide it. That's all. The one thing we do need is we need a snapping point at this bottom section. So I'm just gonna do like this little default one, and then just make sure that you snap to that one every time. And now obviously you need to be a little bit more careful because there's no visual confirmation that you are putting it in the right place. But with a little bit of practice, you should be able to get it quite easily. going to be a little tedious, but I think the result is definitely going to be worth it. Okay, you can see this is already a much smoother arch. Alright, so let me continue until we get to the point where we actually want to be. Okay, I think one more, then we should be good. Let's move this to the side. I'm going to go 6 to the side. I'll bring this down and see if it's going to clear the tracks enough. Okay, let's go see what the curve looks like. Okay, so that's pretty decent, I think. So obviously we're going to be dressing it up quite a bit, but let's get the other half done, and we'll take it from there. That looks pretty good, I think. So that's kind of the idea we're going for. So this is obviously going to take a hot minute. So let me quickly smash this out, and I'll get back to you guys. Right, so the bridge is looking pretty good so far. It just needs a little bit more. It just needs more. And what I'll do is I'm gonna experiment a little bit and see what I can do to make it look a little bit more interesting. And then I'll show you guys, and we can just finish up with the final details. Right, so back in a moment. And there we go. This bridge is done. So I'm quite happy with how it came out. We'll go and we'll have a little bit of a closer look at all the little details that I put into it, and I'll just kind of like just verbalize my thoughts as to why I did it and how I did some of these things. But yeah, let's go have a closer look. So aside from the arches, obviously, I've added these little bits in here. Just to make it look a little bit more reinforced, and obviously adding a little bit of detail in here and there, and adding these little lights here, which is just 2 meter lights, and then the little 0.5 meter signs. Just adds a little bit more kind of like pizzazz to it. Just a splash of color as well, just to break up the constant white. And then this section here is just a normal pillar, or beam rather, that I just kind of like slapped on the side, and then just duplicate everything on the other side. Here at the bottom, just to give it a little bit more reinforced look, I've added the normal beams, just painted white again. Going further up, I've got the small beams, so that's the pillars down there. So those are just normal white pillars, and then these are the white beams. And I just use this as a guide to go all the way through, and then all I need to do was just take the beam and just add it in there from that point to that point, and all I did was just make them 6 meters apart, so they're spread out kind of evenly. Then going over the top, just went all the way through, just to, like I say again, just to give it a little bit more texture, just to break up the monotony of the arch and make it look like it's being held together by these beams across, and then the ones at the bottom if we go down here. So just everything is duplicated on either side. Then at the bottom, just to kind of tie everything together, again, and also just to give it a little bit more texture. Otherwise, it would look like these things are just free floating, the rails going through here. So I added this little section. You can see it doesn't actually touch, but you don't see that when you fly over or when you drive over. And this section, and also to break up the white again, I just made this like I think it was unpainted, the color, and I think it gives it a bit more character. And adding these little bends, kind of like a 45 or 60 degree bend with the new beams that's available in 1.2, these things are pretty cool. Right, then coming to these cables, so originally I was going to use the normal cables, but I found that these are just way too big in size. So I'm going to do a couple here just to kind of show you guys what it looks like. And I think for a bridge this size, this is complete overkill. That's way too big. So rather I thought, okay, well, let's get a smaller cable. Let me just target this one. Grab those. And all I did was just normal power cables. Power lines between these nodes. So if you take this guy away, you can see it's just a normal, what are these things called again? Outlet node. Or outlet node Mark 1. And then I just place these little beam connectors over it. But there we go. I hope you guys are able to build something like this in your world. Like I said, this thing came out pretty cool. It's fairly simple to build. There's a little bit of PT, but it's once you get going, it's fairly quick to do. And as you can see, it just looks really cool. I like it. I like the design. I think it's quite snazzy. But yeah, but that's it for this video. On the next video, we'll show how I build a secondary bridge. But that bridge has a completely different requirement to this one. You're gonna have to do something like a cable stay bridge, which is kind of a cool design as well. But that's it from my side for this episode. And just lastly, as usual, I'd like to thank my patrons. Your guys' continuous support is what allows me to build these kind of interesting builds. If you want to check out my Patreon, have a look in the description. A link's available in there as well as the pinned comment. And that's it for today. I'll see you guys on the next one.